I used to think that the boldest, the most brave, the most daring and dangerous action was the right action. Always. I think, as I've matured, I've found real reason and real purpose in stability. You know, I was always the type of person to chase my dreams, and I suppose I still have goals that I am pursuing and completing. But I think that in my mind, it's no longer about, make it happen any way you can in terms of, do it broke if you have to do it this, do that. Like, I realize it's okay to have stability and pursue your goals. And I think in society, we're always fed like this idea of the starving artist. Like, no, you can be an artist and be living wealthy and comfortably and still be a beginner or still be pursuing that. Like, things aren't so one-dimensional. And I don't know. I think even in the past, when I was a teenager, I started these businesses and I thought like, it would be stupid to keep working a job and to, just keep pursuing anything besides that one business. And I realize now, like, it's never a bad thing to provide for yourself. It's never a bad thing to have a little bit of stability. Um, you know, I used to be so all or nothing in terms of my mindset and the way that I did things. And I think now I'm realizing, like, for example, you want to be a painter, you want to be this, you want to be that. It is okay to have a side hustle. It's okay to have a part-time job and still be pursuing your goal, because at the end of the day, you know what your goal is, you know what your pursuit is, you know what your attention is, and you have that in mind when you're doing it. So it no longer becomes a dead-end job or something wasteless. It becomes something that funds and provides for you in the moment while you're pursuing your future. And I realize now in my maturity, like, I don't know, I just thought like making my success the only option and the only, like, it would be success or a struggle. Like, why would I not tip the tables in my favor to make it as fair and as best as possible for to win? Why would I not pursue both that stability and that dream? Right? It doesn't make any sense now that I'm looking back at it. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like being blinded by a dream, being blinded by the idea of that goal, and thinking maybe things are going to be faster than you want them to be, or I don't know, just maybe blind faith or I don't know. It's just, there's something inherently youthful I see in that. And I think there's a beauty in that. And I never want to get rid of, that youthful energy that, believes anything could happen, because I truly, believe in myself and I can make anything possible. But at the same time, I feel that maturity creeping in, and the energy of, like, it's okay to have it. It's okay to want that. But let's also get our bread up. Let's also, take care of other things in life instead of just being so tunnel vision on one thing. And I think that that's a beauty. There's a beauty in that, because when we find balance in all aspects of our lives, that's that ultimate equilibrium. Like, things are really moving in a proper way. And so, it's kind of crazy. Like, I've kind of come to a point where I think, in a way, I'm less I don't want to say less focused on my goals, because I have goals, but I'm less attached to how they're gonna come out. Like, I'm not grasping onto it in a sense, because it's not my end all be all. It's not, win or be left down the streets. Like, no, like, I'm able to provide for myself. So even if, let's say if I'm trying to be an actor, or if I'm trying to be like this superstar, rock star, like, if that doesn't happen, like, I'm still provided for. And I realized, like, why would anyone ever put themselves in that situation where it's like, gambling it all for nothing. Like, why not tip the scales in your favor so that no matter what, you win? And even then, having a stable foundation helps further your future interests. Let's be real. Because when you have more money, more energy to put into your new ventures, like, of course, it's going to be more likely to be successful. But if you don't even have the funds to pursue that dream, it's like, come on. Like, no matter what dream you have, like, it's tough. It's probably harder to do it without money than it is to do it with money. And that's tough. Like, I think, a younger version of myself would have never wanted to say that or hear those words. For sure, actually. And I don't know, I suppose there's a level of maturity, even looking back at like some of the business I started when I was like 17. I realized, like, I think back then I underestimated the amount of money I needed, just for like things like marketing or things like this and that. And so now I'm in a place where it's like, okay, like, no more running away from these aspects of life, no more running away from that balance, like accepting that balance, accepting like, okay, if it can't happen like this, if it has to happen like this, I'm gonna accept it and I'm gonna push through it and keep going, rather than trying to fight against life, trying to constantly be in a battle and a struggle. Like, I don't know, in a way, it's like, if this is telling me like this is the better way, this is the smoother way, this is the smoother process, like, why would I not go for that? Why would I try and fight for it to be a very specific way that I have in my head that may or may not be right or wrong? I don't know, and I suppose there's a level of maturity in that, and I think, like, I always come back to comparing things to basketball, but it's kind of like the mentality in basketball. If you're, the type of person, if you're a slasher, you can always get to the basket and score. Your mentality is always just go, 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 move as fast as you can and attack and brute force your way to the basket. I think, as you mature, you realize, like, you don't have to do that every time. You don't have to expend all that energy. You can play it slow, methodical. You can be crafty with it. You can be shifty with it. You can be, play with your timing, play with, the way you're looking, the way you're moving, use your brain and not always use your body, And I think that's part of life, is like taking a step back, maturing and being like, okay, there are other ways I can move. There are other ways I can do this and achieve this goal without just brute force ramming my way straight through it, And yeah, I'm seeing like things more in a technical way, in a more technical aspect of, instead of, just being so direct and just trying to get that goal done. Like, there are other ways we can do things. There are lateral moves that maybe will set us up better, and I'm sure there is a aspect in your life that you can compare this to. Maybe you're a football player, maybe you play basketball, maybe you play chess, maybe you like this thing or that thing. I'm sure there's a way you can map it around your mind that is an analytical, seeing the whole vision of the game, seeing the whole board of the whole chessboard, seeing everything possible, making moves that set you up in the right place, rather than just going directly straight for an attack that, maybe you weren't entirely prepared for. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's what's been on my mind, is just being more strategic with life, seeing it a little bit more like a strategy game, I guess. And there's a lot of love and appreciation I have in that, because, I don't know, it's a way almost to gamify your life and have a different view of investment, not just a personal view, but more of a bird's eye view of everything going on. And it's fascinating, because when you're able to look at your life just beyond your own personal vision, you start to see things better, differently, more clearly. The new opportunities open up for you. And so, tell my young people out there, or even all my older people who need a little bit of refreshment of it perspective, take a step back, take the bird's eye view, try to see things from a different perspective. Try to see the whole chessboard, not just the piece you want to move, not just the king that you're trying to attack. See the whole board. All right. Listen, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And, I hope that, you're enjoying your life. I hope that, you're pursuing things and that, you're being methodical with it. You're being intelligent, analytical, smart with it. Because I know y'all are smart. Come on now. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Anyway, so I appreciate y'all. And I'll catch you on another day, man. One love.